Red Corner Boxing. We're in the game.
We're in the game indeed. It's welcome to Red Corner Boxing. My name's Mr. Neutral, and my co-host tonight is Brett the Boxing Man, all the way from Canada. Thank you for joining us, Brett. We've come to another edition of Hard Talk, and tonight's episode is titled Boxers Who Defy the Odds. But before we get into it and mash it up about this subject, we are sponsored by EasyStorage.com for all your local and nationwide needs, and Boxing Fight Zone for all your boxing merchandise and apparel. Check them all out in the bio. The links are all there. Well, Brett, boxers who defy the odds. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Saturday night. Talk about defying the odds. Joshua Heath, straight in. Big up to you, mate. He won lots of money betting on Smith to knock out Matthias in round 5. Well, congratulations to you. But before I pass it on to Brett, on a personal level, I thought the morality of boxing was restored somewhat with that performance from Dalton Smith. However, I do feel that if he hadn't knocked him out and had continued fighting him in the same manner, he would have been robbed, judging by the judges' scorecards. But Brett, you know, we were banging our heads together. Boxers defying the odds. Define what it means to you.
I mean, first of all, before we get into chopping that bit up, before we probably then get into others that have defied the odds, I'm just absolutely chuffed to bits. You know, you and I had a tricky Christmas, didn't we? In terms of like, we, you know, on a personal side, texting each other just to keep each other's spirits up about the game that we love. And this is something that's if you're a British boxing lover, this has filled your heart over the last few days, because this was a huge risk on so many levels. You know, before we start talking about the failed drugs tests and what he may or may not have had in his system leading up to this fight, Matthias was down as a killer, right? Regardless, you know, obviously we can chop up that in a second, but talking about going into the fight, he's down as a killer. And Dalton Smith didn't stand much of a chance from, obviously, good for Joshua Heath there, backing him and winning some money. Congratulations, pal, and good for you. But not many people picked him. And so when you talk about defying the odds, we have to start right there, because it just happened recently. And one of our very, very own that comes from a fantastic family, which I've got a little bit insight to the Smith camp. It's just amazing, mate. And that's defying the odds. Going in somebody's backyard where you're right, unless he knocks him out, he's getting robbed. The commentary team tried to rob him. The were trying to rob him. So we had to knock him out. And guess what? He knocked him out. Job done.
Absolutely. Let's go over the fight first and foremost. You know, he walks into the ring. He's looking great. Dalton, he's got some good support there as well. Right. The lads are in there with the shirts off and that, so he can see them. He's saluting to them, and his spirits have gone up. It's just from any other ring walk that I've seen Dalton Smith do, this one he come in looking like a man compared to that Subriel Matthias. You know, and manned him up, you know, man up, as they say, and beat him at his own game, says Joshua. However, I've got a different theory, because round 1 was completely different from 2, 3, 4, and 5, in my eyes. Round 1, Dalton's on his feet, he's on his toes. Beautiful 1-2 combinations, hooks round the side. It was all connecting. The one paced, just coming forward, high guard, hit Subriel Matthias. And by the way, no plan B. It's always the same with him. And if you watch all of his fights are exactly the same. And I'm thinking, has Dalton took a bit of the Paro blueprint here? You know, because he was round one was not even a contest as far as punch connections were concerned. Took it very easily. Round two, and I don't know if you agree with me on this, but he started stopping that and he started to engage Matthias. Had he figured out that the power that Matthias was bringing to the table was something that was not going to bother him, and then thus go that he changed his strategy and went to war? Do you feel that he believed from round two onwards it was a matter of time?
Listen, I don't know. To be honest with you, the theory went out the window with all of us, because has he come out and spoke about it yet? Because I almost feel like you're right. I think he felt something there, and he said, "F it, I'm going for it. I'm going for it because I've felt him, I've touched him, and actually when he hit him, he hurts." So he, as they always say with the Rockyisms, he's not a machine, he's a man, right?
Yes.
And he's found out in round one. He's gone, hold on a minute. The myth is this guy's supposed to be a killer. I think I can get him out of here, and so he stepped on the gas.
Yeah. Now, before we get to the end of the fight, let's go back pre-fight, right? He pops in 2020, the end of 2025, 0.1 nanogram. It's an atom to me and you, right? An absolute atom. And Ryan Garcia popped for 60 more atoms. I don't care if there's one atom, 60 or 5 million. It's in your system. And America is the only country in boxing in the world that has a Osterine tolerance level within its state commissions, because those state commissions all allow it, according to a source of mine. NYSEC, CSEC from California, Nevada State Athletic Commission, Texas Athletic State Commission. All of these wonderful state commissions all have an Osterine tolerance level, which for me just is an open door for cheating, because they can cycle off. And even if there's 0.1 nanogram in your system, you're given a pass. As hastily backed up by the WBC, you seem to think that the three-man commission, that's Suleiman, his brother, and his uncle, that, round table commission, believe that their investigation, which I'm sure was extensive, Brett, cleared Subriel Matthias, even to the point of labeling it as contamination. I wasn't buying that. And I've seen on Twitter, nobody was buying it, because they all went silent.
Mm-hmm.
Because I come back to the point. If you're going to have a go at Ryan Garcia, you must have a go at Subriel Matthias. Very same state athletic commission, the very same substance, except this guy's got 60 out of 59 atoms less. He cycled off a little bit more.
He cycled off, sure.
Ryan Garcia. And then we had the glove gate. Mm-hmm. He tried to come in with lighter gloves.
Yeah. Which
the New York State Athletic Commission thankfully saw through and denied him that request for them gloves. Was that the levels of awareness that they had of Dalton Smith's power, do you think?
Must have done. They gave him respect, that is for sure. And he tried, and he obviously, don't forget, he tried to intimidate him as well. I mean, yes. Boxing at that level, mate, as you know, what does a stare off mean? It means nothing at that level. Like if you look away first, oh, you've got him. Nah, not at that level, right? They can look at the fucking shoes. It don't matter. Like it at that level, it does not matter.
Bored. He can be bored of him.
Yeah, but he tried to intimidate him. And all I can say, mate, with this one is, we could have been talking about this. Let's not go down the extreme route, but just say Matthias knocks him out in 5 rounds. He knocks him out in 5 rounds.
Yeah.
All we're talking about is the failed drugs test. Right?
Yeah.
But right now, do you know what we're doing? And rightly so. We're talking about Dalton Smith defying the odds.
Yeah.
It was all stacked against him. Everything was stacked against him. And whether he's on PEDs, whether he's not, Dalton Smith knocked him out and is the world champion. And he's one of our own, and he's to be proud of, because he had no right. Everything was against him, and he had no right, and he did it, mate. And as a country, let's focus in on that, because he knocked him out. He knocked him out.
Now, the fight going into round 5, once again, I've always felt that it was only a matter of time before Dalton tagged him, and he did. The first punch that I saw in that sequence was not one of the 2 combinations, then a final right hand to put down Matthias, but it was a short check left hook that made the neck go. And I went, oh, here we go, opener, set up, and then that beautiful 1, 2. The picture will come up now as the first punch combination comes in. And then he took his time, he stepped back, and then bang, bang, he does the same thing once again. And Matthias was all over the place at that point. Does he go for the attack? No. The sign of a champion, a discipline, timed it. He waited for him to stand up straight to present that target. Bang, overhand right. For me, it didn't hit him clean. It's sort of a glance off the back of the head sort of thing, as Subriel Matthias was he didn't know where to put himself. Yeah. But as soon as he went down, I went, that's it, game over. Yeah. You could tell, I've seen too many boxing matches, you could tell when a knockout is coming, when they're on the floor, and, by the picture that we have, he's looking around for his teeth. That Mike Tyson effect. So you instantly, that was done. And the referee, although he's up at, I think it was 9, the guy didn't know where. The referee's looking at his eyes. He took a good 2 seconds looking at him, and he went, nah, you're done, you're cooked. And a wonderful moment, I can imagine, in many a TV screen and, the front room worldwide who are watching that, paid for that on PPV, $41.99. And shame on you, Fresh Promotions. Although you won the pus bid against Matchroom, that was a disgusting PPV. And it just set everything back against Dalton and defying the odds. He had the judges against him. He had the media against him. He had the whole of New York against him. The pre-fight judgment that Subriel Matthias was going to knock this man out, all the while in the back of our heads, we've got PED use. We've got try to cheat with the gloves. Mm-hmm. I would go so far is to go back in time and says, was this guy on Osterine?
Yeah.
God forbid, when that young man lost his life against him.
Yeah.
In the ring. Was he on drugs then? The answers we'll never know, but these are the open door questions that he has presented himself. And it was justice, Brett.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
It's justice, and like I said, there's lots of us for us to discuss and talk about how corrupt the world is when we talk about this sport we love of boxing. And there's so many things that we can look into. But like I said, the bottom line is no matter what was stacked against this lad, it was always going to be his night. And to have a moment like that, obviously I'm precious because, like you, I'm a father of 2. And to have a moment like that with your son in the ring afterwards, it just, even now, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up to think about how proud was Grant of him.
Emotional.
Was Grant of him. Brought him to him. Grant don't strike me as a guy that'd be crying in the ring, but he was fighting the tears back because they knew that was a mammoth task, because I don't even think they know how good Dalton is. You know, they can say what they see in the gym, but sometimes you don't find out and don't really know what you've got on your hands until you put them under pressure like that. And he was under pressure, and to come out of it like that, and to come out of it, yeah, he's took a few bangs. Apparently, he said he hurt. He said he did feel his power in the first round. He said he has got power in his hands, but he comes out of it unscathed. He's partying with his family, and he's a hero in the country right now. So good for him.
I mean, and look at the way that, in the manner of the knockout, the emotional, victorious team in the ring afterwards. Eddie Hunn would say, "I told you so. I warned you."
Yeah.
And what I'm seeing from a lot of American fans and media that I've talked to is they see Dalton now as a real bogeyman.
Yeah.
You know, because I've seen conversations where they say, "Oh, Hitchens are taking." I'm seeing Americans saying, "Nah, man, Dalton. I'm picking Dalton," because beating Matthias in that fashion, you know, for the moral victory included in that, a straight killer, as some of them would describe.
Yeah.
Matthias, you know, he's one of the guys who was tipped to go undisputed at 140 pounds. You know, should Teofimo Lopez move up. Now, you know, it was a victory in so many ways.
And
it was undescribable.
Changed his life, because of course he's going to get paid well for that. And just well, 2 points to this, what I'm saying. He's changed his life anyway, but now whoever he fights in his next fight, mate, is probably going to be double the purse. So he's really changed his life from doing what he did. But
double the purse, yeah.
Just to rack it back, and I know we're going to go on and talk about other Defying odds, but that price was outrageous.
Oh.
And if you want us boxing, and we do, because we all share each other's, you know, we all share each, pay for it and share. If you want us to do it the right way in this sport, you got to give us some value for money. Like, you know, if you want the fighters to get the pay-per-view money, and we all pay for the ones, right? That was outrageous. So many people didn't watch that fight because of the price, and waited till the next day until it was put on YouTube.
Yeah.
And waited till the next day till it was put
on YouTube. I
was
one of them. Outrageous. The price of the media. As small as independent as we are, is priced out of it. You know, for a one-off, you know. I mean, as it happens, the card wasn't half bad. But, you know, I totally agree with you. However, the WBC, you know, and Suleiman put up a great post, you know, about Dalton today, congratulating him. And, you know, there's a picture of Dalton looking at the belt, sort of, "I've done it" sort of pose, and look at what it means to him. So he was made up with that. May that be a lesson to some boxers worldwide. Should look at that picture and go, well, maybe belts matter after all.
Yeah.
You know, but the WBC, I do believe, will do him dirty. Yeah. And then when I say that, as Jams quite rightly pointed out, it will be Alberto Puello next. Now, Alberto Puello has lost his belt to Subriel Matthias, but in their wisdom, they've made him mandatory now to Dalton Smith, and said the winner out of that will have to face Alberto Puello. I don't understand that. He lost. How can you make him mandatory straight away after losing? So, you know, the WBC make up the rules as they go along, in my eyes. But it is what it is. Now, Matthias beat Puello. I actually thought Puello won that fight. So, you know, I'm of the mind that this fight might be more competitive than that. But do you feel with a home Sheffield venue with a crowd behind him that he'll prove just too much for Puello?
Yeah, he's Sheffield Wednesday, isn't he? He's Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday.
Obviously, it's horrendous what's happening to that football club right now. But I would imagine that they're clinging on to something. So he's their next superstar, right? So they'll get behind him. So wherever he lands now in the UK, he'll sell out arenas for sure. He'll sell out arenas,
Yeah.
and he'll get paid well. So, if it's him, if it's Puello, so be it. I think they're not getting any younger. They've now got some fame behind them. They've defied the odds, as we keep saying, and moving on, because he can't sit still. He can't wait, can he? Basically, he can't just sit there and go, I'll wait for this opponent. I'll wait for that opponent. He's got to cash in now. He's got to cash in.
I quite agree. I mean, and I've got to have some criticism for Matchroom here, because we saw that card that Fresh Promotions put on. Yes, it was $41.99, but they dropped the ball in my eyes, because of that fight. Had it happened in England and come out as a knockout in round 5 for Dalton Smith, I know the conditions would have been different, but let's put that scenario in England. He only bidded $1.7 million for the fight. He was outbid by Fresh Promotions, so $2.1 million, of which they give Subriel Matthias $1.1 million and $500,000 for Dalton Smith. But the WBC held back 10% of that $2 million, the $200,000 for the winner. So Dalton Smith walked away with $700,000 there last night. Give or take a few. But he could have easily have done that, and Matchroom would have made money on that fight.
Well, let's have it right. Eddie lowballed it because, obviously Eddie's the main man at selling, right? In terms of selling boxes, selling promotions, selling everything, right? He's had Mateus for a while. He knew he was a killer, right? He knew he was a killer. So is it fair to say that it was a decent payday for Dalton, and so he thought he might lose this one, but just get Dalton well paid? So he didn't bid to win it because he didn't actually back him. But obviously in the media, of course, he's going to back him leading up to it. And now he's jumping all over it, saying he's the new greatest star in UK sports. Maybe that's why he lowballed it, mate, because he didn't truly believe that it was worth the investment. But, ultimately, if he had paid for it, like you said, it would have sold out wherever it laid. And you know what? Even the casuals, forget the drug testing, even the casuals knew who Mateus was. Even the casuals, because he was referred to as Clubber Lang like style from Rocky. I mean, he's this bogeyman that no one wants to go near. So it could have been easily sold, but they dropped the ball. But at the end of the day, what they're crying over a couple of $100,000. They're going to make fortunes out of him now, mate. Fortunes.
Yeah, but would it put seeds of doubt in Dalton Smith's mind about Matchroom though beforehand, and then having to prove that the way he did, to say to him, like, you should have had my back in the first place. However, he will get at least one guaranteed big PD, even if he doesn't defend his belt and be successful. But I'm pretty sure he will be, because I actually believe now that he is the bogeyman at £140. Yeah. Richardson Hitchens has already sort of swerved him by saying, "Nah, forget Dalton Smith. I want Devin Haney." So if he's to be getting knocked out, he wants to be getting knocked out by a more famous name than Dalton Smith. But Dalton Smith has made his name now. New York opened its bloody arms to him day after, and look at, he's still there now.
They love him.
And billboard, flash signs coming up. He's walking the streets. He's shaking the hands of the fans. And he's real now. He's made a massive name for himself. And watch the rankings when they come out next. I'm pretty sure Dalton Smith be taking his pick of his, be looking forward to a nice voluntary defense after maybe dealing with Alberto Puello and maybe unifying. I believe Hitchens has got a fight coming up in February. I can't remember. Was it Alberto Barbosa? I'm not sure. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong there. But, a unification at £140. Imagine Dalton Smith and Teofimo Lopez. That would be a beautiful fight. Lopez has got his own business coming up, I believe, as well. We've got Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia has been announced today on X. Oscar Duarte, that's it. Yeah. Funny enough, we were speaking to Regis Progre there before. He wants Oscar Duarte as well, or the winner of that fight, which will be fantastic for him. We wish him the very best in 2026. So we do. But Brett, defying the odds. We've talked about Dalton Smith and that, tremendous performance. But we've got to remember and be aware that there's going to be very many more instances of this defying the odds business.
100%, mate. I thought of one today, and it is because I knew we were doing this, and it is a bit biased because it's my boy. But think about how Lee Wood defined the odds against Kanzu. And because if we're thinking of the lower level Brits, nobody expected him in Eddie's back garden to win that fight.
Yeah,
and arguably that changed the course of Lee Wood's career in beating the fighter that Kanzu was, because everybody was scared to death of him at the time. So yeah, and so that changed Lee Wood, and then he started getting paid from it. And I think ultimately that's what we've got to kind of concentrate a little bit on as well before we go through the list. It's not just about defying the odds. It's the fact that if they can defy the odds and then go change their lives forever, that's the fairy tale of boxing. And that is what it is. I mean, Jams has just put one on the screen there. Of course, Fury v. Klitschko. Nobody gave Fury a chance in that fight. Nobody gave him a chance. And if you said you did, it's because you were a big fan of his and you thought he might. But if you knew anything about anything, I thought Klitschko was just going to wrap him up. And he outboxed him, he outmauled him, he outmanned him. And again, arguably, Fury was he wasn't a man with no money, but that changed his life forever and ever and ever. Some of it for the worse. Obviously, he went on depression after the win, the highs and the lows and what have you. But obviously, Fury getting that win against Klitschko was a fairy tale, and that certainly defied the odds in his back garden, by the way. And the way he did it, incredible.
Absolutely, because he was a naturalized German at that point, with hundreds of thousands, millions of fans. Great catch. Absolutely. And as I said, we're going to get many instances more of, of this defying the odds when it comes to, especially, I feel this especially with British boxers. I don't want to get on my soapbox here or anything like that, but it proved to me that the rankings system is more important than ever right now, because the Dalton Smith story worked his way up area level, at junior level, area level, at senior level. One has had to do it the hard way: English, British, Commonwealth, European, interim, and then full champion. But he climbed his way up the ranks, and and when you see other boxers getting layups, from maybe divisions below, and all of a sudden they're fighting for title fights, it puts into perspective that hard work to get to that level, and then only to be disappointed by the powers that be.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I mean, like we're rightly saying, the ranking system is very important for these people to get their opportunity and their chance. I mean, I think we're doing a part one here, and so we won't go through all the obvious ones, but it'd be nice, mate, at some point to maybe go back down memory lane and relive some of the bigger ones. But what a shout! Jams has obviously come up with two great shouts there, but what a shout that is! Kell Brook against Sean Porter, and that was an absolute clinic from Kell. Clinic.
Best he's ever boxed.
Oh my days! It was a clinic, and obviously, from that he had that incident in Tenerife. After that kind of thwarted him a little bit, because he was on top of the world at that point, and Porter was a live man at that point, wasn't he?
Yes, he's still a young man,
and that is completely defying the odds. Because I dare say, going back there, if any of us picked Kell Brook either, going into the back garden of Porter and doing that, and the way he did it, I mean, it was absolutely outstanding.
I've always said that in the climate of foreign countries, you have to go in there sometimes armed to get a result in there. And a knockout is the only way to do it. Now, as I said before, there was no doubt in my mind that as soon as that bell went for the final bell, no matter how well Dalton Smith would have boxed, he, by the eye test alone, he could have won every round. The scorecard would have gone against him because of the politics within the sanctioning bodies who appoint the judges. Now, taking monumental, and I mean monument, and I don't say it as an understatement or an overstatement by any means, monumental, colossus achievement to do what he did, but take that fight to Matthias with that mindset. No, son, no, this is my night.
Yeah,
and I can just imagine that and obviously as we saw with the emotional scenes with Dad and that. Will that inspire other Bretts to now step up? We've got it's jam beast mode. You got to go into beast mode to get a result.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? I think with the way that paydays are now, and the fairy tale stories of like a Derek Chisora and Dave Allen, all these guys that get L's all the time and still end up in big fights. I think people are good. No one's bothered about the O anymore. And it's nice to see, to be honest, the O's starting to go. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Look at Shakur and Tio. Obviously, Tio's got a loss on his record, but that's a fight where you'd think they were trying to protect themselves. But ultimately now, I think with the money that's in boxing, with the fact is if you got people like Turkey, if you're ducking people, he goes right on to the next. So now, hopefully what we're going to see is more and more fighters rolling the dice, daring to be great, daring to defy the odds. And it can only be great for boxing again, because when you see stories like that we just seen this weekend, how can you from any country across the world not be inspired by what Dalton Smith just did when you look at all the odds that he defied that weekend? Every single one of
multiple odds. As I said before, ranging from the media to the judges to the fighter himself, Matthias. He was a come forward pressure fighter. He doesn't stop. That machine type strategy doesn't stop until he's battered you into submission. Obviously, very dangerous boxer. I still have a smile on my face, because I was so fearful that another Brett would succumb to controversy. A fighter that you've gone into the ring and he stinks of controversy, and I'm just so glad that. Hopefully, it'll be a long time before we see Subriel Matthias, and hopefully the Dafty, and he paid for his own VADA test, which is like $20,000, and snitches on himself.
Well, mate,
incredible stuff.
None of us, last thing on this one, none of us really gave him a chance, did we? I mean, I picked him in the prediction league, but only because nobody else did. So I gave him a chance. I said there and then, come on, let's. I think I said something along the lines. I
tried to hint to you all.
Yeah. Let's dare to be great, as I think I said something. But if we could rewind it, mate, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Because none of us really gave him a chance, right?
Yeah.
If we'd have thought, hindsight's a great thing, would more of us have paid $41 if we knew we'd have got that?
Good question.
Do you know where I'm going?
Great question.
Because I think a lot of us thought he was going to get put out later on in the fight.
Well, I can safely see the League One completely went against Dalton. I think it was only Ra but I can tell you League Two, 5 out of 7 picked Dalton. and 3 of
Oh,
them
wow.
by knockout, including me. I was a round out, knockout 6
Wow.
I had,
Wow.
because I was that convinced. I'd seen Matthias. He's one-dimensional, one-paced, and Paro showed that he could be beaten. And the media then were just as shocked and appalled that had happened to one of their own. That and some are still in denial now on Twitter. It's ridiculous. The commentator. Let's talk about the commentator, Raul Marquez. He's on Twitter trying to justify his actions.
He's answering everybody in, by the way.
He is, apart from me. I just said that, you're a nice guy. I like you, but you had an off night. Shit happens. Maybe next time just research a little bit more of the opponents for evidence of why you shouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
Because if you watched all of Dalton's knockouts, they're all by the right hand.
Yeah.
The finisher was the right hand and all of them. So the evidence was there. And guess what happened? The right hand was hitting. And then by round 5, Subriel Matthias' Osterine-ridden brain couldn't take any more. And subsequently, he capitulated. Now, we will be, as you said, Brett, we'll pick up many more examples of defying the odds.
Yes.
I did want to highlight this as a precursor for this series.
Yeah.
So we will get into more of these examples. But what an example this one is to kick us off in this series in part 1. Yeah. Your final thoughts?
Yeah, just completely made up for Dalton and Grant. The good people and family orientated, good hard class working family. And before it going into it, I'm like, what are you doing? You're putting your son up for slaughter here. What are you doing? Especially with potential drugs in his system. Like, I can't believe it. But then I got to the fact of maybe they've had a good family meeting and said, look, we're never going to get a payday like this unless we gamble. And they gambled, and I couldn't be happier, mate. Boxing had a big W this weekend, and it's down to Dalton Smith. So congratulations to him and his family, mate.
Absolutely. And then the famous words of Raul Marquez, who was the commentator. Dalton Smith is fighting Subriel Matthias' fight. This will not last long. End of brackets. Inverted commas. 15 seconds later, the man has gone quiet. And when the referee waved it off, all he then is, I don't believe it. Just goes to show you. Don't make silly assumptions through the fight. And this guy was overcounting punches for Matthias. He was trying to suggest that Matthias' belligerent movement and walking down of Dalton Smith was a great strategy and was going to win in the fight in the long run. How wrong that man was. I hope he still is able to commentate on other fights because he had a pleasant voice. And that's all I can say about him. But to the rest of you, thank you for coming in tonight, giving us your comments. All the boys, thanks very much. If you're new to Red Corner Boxing, please give us a like and subscribe. It's absolutely free and painless. It's just a click of a button and press that bell.
Mr. Neutral, before you close out, mate, sorry to cut you off. Could we ask anybody that comes across this and watches it later on to put in the comment section their favorite defying of the odds? And then in the next episode, maybe we'll cover it. It'd be great to have other people. Have other people's perspective as well, and then we'll cover it in the next show.
Absolutely. Give us your examples of defying the odds where a boxer has gone somewhere where he should have got no business winning, but he did. And in true style, give us your examples of what you would like to see, and we'll cover them with you. And you can give your thoughts as what you thought to that fight going along. Yes, Brett, absolutely tremendous idea, and that will kick us off nicely onto the next episode. Look out for that one. I don't know what day we're going to do it. We're going to get our heads together. Episode 2 will be out next week sometime. But, keep an eye out on the notifications for that. That will come up. That's why you got to press that like and subscribe. You don't want to miss these kind of programs. It's great stuff. Yes. So that's the end of episode 1. This show was sponsored by EasyStorage.com and Boxing Fight Zone, our proud partners. We thank them. We thank the audience. And we thank you who's watching at home. From Brett and I, we will see you next time. Episode 2. Look out for that next week. Defying the odds. See you soon.
I'm moving. I'm going. I can't stop.